Hey guys, it's Trevor. There's been a lot of talk lately, but what I want to show today is what I see CarrierIQ doing on my device. Our previous discussion got cut short, but thankfully the EFF has allowed us to continue. Really guys, I can't thank you enough. Everyone else, you've shown that you have questions here as well, so I want to make sure that my voice isn't the only one being heard. Go ahead, post in the comments below. If you'd rather use Twitter, use hashtag CIQ. If you have your own message boards hosting discussions about this, make sure their URLs make their way back here. This way we have one source of information for it to be found. That being said, I will be doing no moderation of any sort, so please guys keep it civil if we want to get real answers here. Now what I'm going to be showing is my stock Evo 3D device. It is factory reset, it is non-rooted. Now while I will be showing an HTC device, it is not singling out HTC in any way here. We have seen stock clients on Blackberries, Nokias, and more. HTC just happens to be the devices that I enjoy using, so that is what I have available to me now. Now I'm going to show a device here from stock turn on. The first thing I want you to notice is that my phone is in airplane mode here. This means there is no network connection right now. So let's go ahead and unlock it. Now the first thing that you're presented with are options to transfer. We don't need any of that, so I'm going to skip through this. Now we have options to schedule our syncs. We can either do it automatically or manually. I want to have control over this session, so I'm going to set this to manually. Let's go to next. The next menu is just wireless networks. I'm going to skip past that real quick here. Now we're presented with Google Location. Google gives us two choices about location services here. We can have location running all the time in the background, and we can use location for Google searches. I'm going to turn off location for Google search for now. Okay. Next menu that we're presented with is Tell HTC. HTC allows users to submit data about crashes, programs that aren't behaving nicely, that kind of stuff to them, so they can make their phones better. They have a clear privacy policy and allow users to choose. I'm going to actually opt out of this for now because I want to have nothing else running on this device. So let's go to next. Now the last thing I'm going to show is the sync accounts that you're enabled to use. These are your social networking, emails, that kind of thing that you might sync. I'm not going to do anything because once again I want nothing else running. Now I'm going to finish and go to the Sense home screen. Now the first thing I'm going to do is remove the clock from my desktop here. I don't want it to show my location here except in places that I'm going to show it. Now that my device is at the home screen, I'm going to show going through the applications list. So let's open that up. Now HTC software is compiled of third-party software and stuff that they make. So we see stuff in here like Adobe Reader. All these third-party programs usually have their own privacy policy. So let's open up Adobe here. You can see if we go to menu about Adobe Reader, it has a privacy policy that we are able to read if we want to. Now let's go through some other software. See, Blockbuster is preloaded in here, so let's try to open that up. See, there is actually no connection. You actually have to download the Blockbuster app from the market if you want to use it, and they have their own privacy policy there, so that's pretty cool. Let's go back out of this. Now if you notice, we see nothing about CarrierIQ up here. I'm going to kind of scroll through my app list. You can see no IQ mentions, no references at all. We keep scrolling down here. Now the next thing that I'm going to open up is HTC Watch. Now you see we are presented with a license agreement. This is because HTC Watch uses what's called digital rights management. Now digital rights management is a service that runs in the background, but HTC has a license agreement here that says they use DRM to validate purchases, set timeframes you can watch those purchases, and that kind of thing. If you do not want to use this software, you do not have to agree to the terms. Thank you HTC for giving us a choice. Now the next thing I'm going to show is going through running applications. So let's go into the settings menu, go to applications, and manage applications. We see that we can break things down into downloaded, all, things that are on the SD card, or running. So let's see what we have running on our phone. Over here we're going to look for something called CIQ Agent. And this is the first place that we see any reference to CarrierIQ on the phone. Now for later, I'm going to want you to make note that this is the only application we see running. We do not see any references to anything else such as IQRD in here. So let's go back over to all here. Now I'm going to bring up that CIQ Agent application. We see it has a stock icon. It's pretty nondescript. And if we go into this, our choices are About and Force Stop. You can also see permissions that this application requires, which is nothing. So let's press this About button here. Now here's where it gets a little confusing. The HTC logo comes up. When asked about this, they were told we must understand third-party software, and this is not their software. Okay, so let's see if we can find anything else relating to CarrierIQ. The next thing that we see is this other application with the same icon, once again nondescript, and it's called IQRD. So let's open that up. Now in here we see we are presented with an option to force stop. Now this is a little weird because we have not seen this in the running applications list before, but if it is given us the option to force stop, it means it must be running. The permissions that it has are below, and you can see a pretty extensive list of permissions here. Everything from calling phone numbers, stuff that costs us money, sending text messages, reading text messages, getting our location, recording audio, changing our audio settings, playing with Bluetooth, changing network connectivity, all sorts of stuff that this has. Now, what's really important here is to look under System Tools. You see it is set to automatically set at boot. This means that this application will always run when Android is running. The last thing that I'm going to show is trying to press the force stop button. See up here we're offered with a force stop, which means this application must be running, even though we didn't see it in the running applications list before. So let's go ahead and try to stop it. You can see it actually does nothing. You are unable to stop this IQRD. Now the last thing I'm going to show in the settings menu here is About. Now we can see Tell HTC again, where we are enabled to turn on or off error reporting to HTC. This is the same program that we saw before, but they allow us to toggle this at any time. Thanks to HTC, that's a pretty cool option. The only other thing we see here is legal information, which brings us up with HTC, Sprint, and Google Legal. There is nothing relating to CarrierIQ here. Now, what I'm going to be showing here is what we can see CarrierIQ doing. First thing I'm going to do is turn on USB debugging. We'll need that to be able to read logcat logs. Okay, now I'm going to pan up from the screen a little bit for a second here while I start this log, just in case any personal information comes by. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every button on the outside of the phone here. I'm going to start with pressing the home button. We see that when we press the home button, action com.htc.iqagent.action.ui01 is called. After that is called, it is sent with a button press, which they call W key code. The menu button press is number 11, and then a key event. A 0 comes when you press the button down, a 1 is displayed when the button is released. You can see every time that I press the home button, we get that same unique key code of a number 11 here for W key code. That means that is bound to the home button. The next thing I'm going to show here is the back button. If we press this device, we see the same action UI01 getting called, but this time it has W key code of 27. Now we know if an 11 is called, it is the home button. If 27 is called, you press the back button. Now let's press some of the other buttons on the device. You can see if I press the menu button here, actually a unique key code is not displayed for that. All that we see is action com.htc.iqagent.action.ui01 is called. There is no W key code when you press that button. I don't know if that means something is not being logged or if we just can't see the log for that button. The same thing happens when we press the volume up and the volume down button. We can see those UI01 actions getting called, getting sent, but we do not see a unique W key code for them. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show is the power button here. When we press the power button, we get a UI02 action. After that, we have a submit UI02 with the old state, the new state, and your UI event. So the old state is a 1, the old state was on, the new state is a 0, the new state is off. Let's turn the device back on here. Oops. Now you can see the old UI state went to a 0, the new UI state went to a 1, and the UI event is a 0. So this shows that the screen was off, and now the screen is on. I'm going to unlock the device again, and now I'm going to bring up the dialer. I'm going to press the button 1. You can see Action UI01 was called with a 49, and once again a 0 because I pressed the key down. You can see if I press it 2, a 50 is called, 3, 51, 4, 52, 5, 53, and so on and so forth. So every button that you press in dialer before you even call it already gets sent off to the IQ application here and has a unique key press for everything that we press down. Now, doing my best to censor as little information as possible, I sent myself a text message with the contents, "Hello World." Let's go through what actually happens when we get that text. The first thing that gets called is dispatch WAP push to CIQ. After that we see dispatch SMS to CIQ, and then the PDU is displayed, which is the raw text message data. After that, we see com.htc.android.iqagent.action.sms notify gets called. It gets the SMS, looks at the body, and then we see my SMS here in plain text, "Hello World." Now, it should be noticed that if we scroll down a little farther here, here's where the message is actually being displayed in the end user's inbox. So all of the IQ agent processes is happening before the end user actually even sees the SMS. Now what I'm going to show is using the browser application. What I first want you to notice is that my device is in airplane mode with wireless network on. I am not on any sort of 3G connection. Now, when the browser first comes up, you can see Google requested location here. I actually declined that, but since location was requested at all, we got a submit LC30 up here. And that means the IQ agent knows about our location, even though I declined this website from knowing it. Now, down here you can see the URL of the page we went to. I'm going to want you to make note of that for a little bit later here. So what I'm going to show here is Googling the word "Hello World." Now I'm going to scroll back down to my logcat here, and I'm going to use my batteries the best to creatively censor this. I'm not too keen on my location being passed around, so let's see what I can do here. Now I'm going to scroll down and see exactly what we saw. What we see here is I went to Google search and I searched for the word "Hello World." The problem here is that this is over HTTPS. This information is supposed to be encrypted. The way this works is anything after the domain, you're supposed to get a handshake looking for the certificate. Once you make that handshake, the entire page is connected. So strings, stuff like this, are always supposed to be encrypted in the world of HTTPS. Now, while I'm showing just doing a simple Google search, there are instances where you can pass the username and password in plain text. And the reason here is because these strings are supposed to be encrypted. But we can see that CarrierIQ is querying these strings over my wireless network on no 3G connectivity, and it is reading HTTPS. Now, the last thing I'm going to show here is my Evo 4G device. This device is not on any network contract, and I use this just for development or playing Angry Birds, whatever. So what I'm going to show here is that IQRD application is still present in this device, and it's still set to run on boot and running all the time. So we see here the HTC IQ agent. This application has a force stop option, and it is enabled, which means it is running. And then I'm going to go down to IQRD. Once again, this process is still present, it is still running, and it is unable to be stopped.